Look, North Southwark is a bit of everything really, because we've got the Tate Modern, Imperial War Museum, HMS Belfast, the Tower Bridge, Shakespeare's Globe. So 7 million tourists a year come to this constituency. So a lot of the world knows a bit of my constituency and my community, but there is also a really strong sense of community, a static community, people who live here who are very tied to this area. I have actually had Hong Kong come up on the doors. I was campaigning in Kettering. What day is it today? It must have been Tuesday this week. Somebody raised it on the doors. Somebody, BNO from Hong Kong himself. Him and his wife wanted to know Labour's position. Thankfully, it's something I felt able to answer. It's in the hundreds, and look, I have Stephanie working for me, I have somebody from Hong Kong working for me because I want to reach out to that network in my constituency, in my community. I want people to know they're welcome, they're supported, I want their participation, I want their involvement in this community. What has happened in Hong Kong is outrageous, and I think that some people see the Hong Kong newcomers as temporary, but I'm afraid to say that it isn't. The Communist Party in China is not going anywhere fast, so people are going to be here and they need to be properly integrated, properly settled, and I want to be part of making sure people know that they are. I want them to be as involved as humanly possible, and I want to try and tackle some of the barriers that I know people face, even on a basic logistic level, e-tickets and being treated as BNO, not as British national, which has additional costs, additional bureaucracy, additional paperwork, all these things that get in the way of building a new life and a permanent life in the UK, which I hope that a Labour government, if we win the election on July the 4th, is part of dismantling all of that red tape, call it what you like, but it's the administrative hurdles to just beginning to build a proper permanent life in the UK. And that's not just for the people who arrive, it's for their children, because I'm also thinking longer term. People don't just arrive and that's it. People come and they have families and they have children and grandchildren, and I don't want those children and grandchildren to grow up without the same rights as other children born in this community. We've had for a long time in this country, we've had lots of problems with the Home Office. We've had a hostile environment which was designed to make life more difficult for new and incoming migrants. That has to be dismantled if people from Hong Kong are to know that this is I and the UK government want people to be permanently based here and to contribute as fully as possible. There should be no barriers to, it's not that I'm being sort of liberal, if you like. I want people to come here and pay tax. I want people to come and contribute to the services that the whole community needs. So everything that helps tackle the barriers that mean people can do that, the better. If we win, I don't see it changing. Controlled and managed, that is exactly what the BNO system is. I don't think anyone includes the Hong Kong situation or the Ukraine situation because they are more exceptional than some of the issues around the English Channel, for example. They are seen as exceptional, and I very much expect the system to be sustained under if Labour win the election. And I'm working on Labour winning. Personally, I want to see the BNO system turned actually into a citizenship fast-track process. I think that's the quickest way to resolve many of the issues that my constituents and others across the whole country who've come from Hong Kong face. Some of those barriers can be dismantled if we just skip from the BNO status to fast-track for UK citizenship. I think that given what's happening in Hong Kong, it makes far more sense to fast-track a process for citizenship and dismantling all of those barriers and high costs. And fundamentally, I don't think it is fair or reasonable for Hong Kong's with BNO status who are not going back to Hong Kong to be charged international rates when they are domestic students. I've not had anyone from Hong Kong raise that one specifically with me, but yes, the policy of VAT, I mean it is a luxury to send your children to that, so it should be treated as a luxury, and of course you have to look at what that money is then used for. The Labour Party built the National Health Service, we saved it in 1997, we're going to have to, if we win the election, we're going to have to save it again, and saving it does require some resources, and some of those resources from the VAT on private education goes towards making sure that the delays are cut. So, and I think that people who are from Hong Kong have the same health worries about seeing a GP and accessing hospital care for them and their families as the rest of the population. So we don't know exactly what the impacts will be on the private school sector, but I think that the income, the revenue that comes from that change in policy is much needed for the National Health Service. This is an issue that I raised before Parliament was closed for this election, and is something that I'll have to come back to, because clearly there's not resolution and there are risks, and I would completely understand parents not wanting to take their children into that environment and not wanting to be tracked on the back of having to attend in person to renew documents. So look, we have a Home Office that is really not fit for purpose every week, and this isn't just a Hong Kong issue, but every week I see constituents who have been negatively affected by Home Office delays, Home Office mistakes. One that I don't think the current government has got on top of is also the intimidation and harassment tactics of the Chinese government operatives in the UK blocking the democracy and activism of people from Hong Kong, and the threat, and I have constituents who've been followed, and the Chinese government is trying to find their addresses, and actually I think we need to better recognise the intimidation and the security risk, and we need to be doing more to support people with cyber security as well as personal security, to support individuals, as well as having a stronger position against the Chinese government and telling them this is not acceptable on UK soil. Fundamentally, this should not be happening in the UK, and it needs to stop. I actually think we need to recognise in UK that it's people from Hong Kong who are still supporting a democracy network, but it's also MPs and parliamentarians who are active on this issue, who've become the target of Chinese security services, who need to be better protected and better trained on cyber security and beyond. I just think that is the reality of the challenge we face, and unfortunately this government hasn't got to a position where it's doing enough to support the BNO community or those of us who do speak up. And that's not a party political point, because there are Conservative politicians who've been targeted by the Chinese government as well as others. I take nothing for granted, and I and my team go out every week. So look, this isn't something for me that will stop. I didn't decide to do events and participation because there was an election this year. I decided to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. 140,000 people nationally in a population of 70 million is not massive. I don't believe there's a single constituency where the new Hong Kong population would tip the balance, but maybe if there's a constituency with a majority of 50 where they could tip the balance, then somebody will be doing a lot more work to capture that vote perhaps.